Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Here we share the experiences of people from around the world who have had near-death experiences. Please support us by sharing our videos and help spread awareness to your friends so they can appreciate the opportunities in life more. We hope this channel brings light, hope, and love to all of us. Thank you to everyone who supports us on this journey.
Lorna Byrne shares the story of her near-death experience, dying during surgery to repair her digestive tract, brought on by years of malnourishment in her childhood. During her encounter on the other side, she was greeted by angels, met with her beloved father, and discovered that our loved ones live on beyond the death of their bodies. Lorna shares how the experience transformed her life and how her relationship with angels has grown throughout the years. From the time I was a child, the angels told me there was something wrong with my stomach. One day they told me to go to the doctor. When he saw what was wrong, he booked me in for surgery straight away. During the operation, he removed my entire large intestine and a significant portion of my small intestine. That's when I died. I left my human body and went straight to heaven. It's very hard to describe no pain, nothing but your soul as a spark of light of the Creator. I'm Eir Byrne and I'm from Ireland. I was born in Dublin and spent my early years there until I was about 7. Then we moved to Ballymun. I loved it there too, as it brought us closer to the countryside. We were very, very poor. Food was scarce, and most of the time we had just bread and jam. I remember my parents struggling to provide clothes for us children, never mind themselves. I wasn't getting enough to eat, and I started to break out in all sorts of conditions due to malnutrition. Times were really, really hard. I remember staying with my aunt once, and even to this day, I vividly recall them giving us breakfast one morning. It had a sausage, a rasher, an egg, tomato, and toast. It was the biggest meal I had ever seen. I was shocked to have all that food just for me. That moment really struck me, highlighting how poor we were. No matter what ups and downs I've gone through, it was all part of the journey, and I believe all of it has made me who I am today. Growing up, I didn't know I was different. I was a very late talker, maybe around 2.5 years old. Because I wasn't progressing as expected, the doctors told my mom I was, well, what's that word? Dialectic, dyslexic. Back then in Ireland, if you had such a condition, it was quite a challenge. As a child, if you were different, you were often put into an institution. That's what I constantly heard growing up, even as a teenager. I was told to keep my mouth shut and not let anyone know I was a fool or stupid. At school, I was put at the back of the class, and the teachers took no notice of me. Sometimes I would cry and head off on my own across the fields. I did that frequently. Growing up felt like I didn't exist in the human world. I suppose I've been more in contact with my soul than with the human part of me. When someone was cruel or said something nasty, or when I heard adults passing hurtful comments, the angels would comfort me. They would tell me that those people knew no better. I see angels physically, and to me, it's normal and natural. Even as an infant, I didn't know they were angels. They were simply there for me. Angels are extremely beautiful, with wings that are so slender and fine. Their wings move so gently, like silk or mist, and they are astonishingly beautiful. The angels have been my best friends and teachers. Everything I know, I've learned from them. They taught me how to truly see. Humanly, people have lost the gift of seeing. They only look. You look around the room, but you don't really see what's in it. I'm not just looking at you, I'm looking at everything in between you and me. It's constantly moving. It's the air, the wind, stardust from the universe, it's everything. I see the angels and loved ones as well. They come and go fleetingly, just for a moment. The most incredible angel is your guardian angel. This angel is with you every second of your life. It's important to remember this, especially when you're not feeling grace within yourself. Remember, your guardian angel sees you as unique and perfect. There is no one else in the world like you, and your guardian angel loves you unconditionally. I never went to college because I couldn't read or write, but I've been educated in a different way. I've had the best teachers in the world, the angels and the souls of loved ones, guiding me throughout my life. From the time I was a child, the angels told me there was something wrong with my stomach. I always had problems, but I never complained until the day they told me to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor and mentioned the issues with my stomach. He sent me to a specialist who ran some tests and booked me in for surgery straight away when he saw what was wrong. He removed all of my large intestine and a significant portion of my small intestine. That's when I died. I left my human body and went straight to heaven. It happened very fast in a moment. I was there. It's very hard to describe no pain, nothing. You are perfect. It wasn't the body lying on a bed with nurses and doctors around me, it was my soul, a spark of light of God, the Creator. You are part of God, and to me, that is something so incredible that I don't think mankind has fully grasped yet. You have the choice and the free will to become aware of your soul. My dad, who I loved very much, was there. He loved fishing. The thing is, my dad wasn't old when he died, but his soul appeared much younger, like he was only 20. I loved the hat he had on his head. It had all these little flies he had made. It was as if a gap was being made slowly by all the other souls and angels, and I just ran to him. Even though it was my soul, and my human body wasn't there, my arms felt so human. This was an incredible light, and when I reached out and threw my arms around him, it was like the touching of two souls. It was like God touching God, in a sense, because that's what your soul is. That was so incredible. One thing we don't have to worry about is our loved ones who have died. It's only their bodies that have died. Sometimes we feel like leaving a place means leaving them behind, but you're not. You can never leave them. You can go anywhere in the world or out into the universe, and they can be there with you when you need them. You can feel their presence. You may even get a glimpse of them, or hear them. Our loved ones give us messages all the time. They are looking out for us. We shouldn't have to wait until our time comes to go home to heaven to believe. Why don't we believe now? It was as if I was on a treadmill, just standing there, and the angels I knew were with me. They were like giants, standing so tall. Some of them would look down at me, smile, and tell me to hurry up. Even though they were so high up, I could hear their voices so clearly. Way down, God was there. He said to me, "Lorna, you have to go back. You have an awful lot to do. You're not to be hiding from me. That's one thing God always chides me about." Even today, he constantly says, "Lorna, why do you keep hiding from me?" I do it all the time. I said to God, "Why can't I hide here? Hiding here is much better than hiding in the human world," but he said I had to stop hiding and go back. I did come back, though I didn't want to. I didn't like the idea. Even though I love my children dearly and would have left them behind, I knew they would be fine. You only come back if you're meant to. I know many people wonder why they come back and what great thing they are supposed to do. It's so simple, it all goes back to love. Mankind often expects something greater than love, but just doesn't understand love. I was in intensive care for nearly 2 weeks. I was in very bad shape, still on a breathing machine. I remember the surgeon coming around every so often. Sometimes he would just put his hand on my hand. One thing I loved was seeing all those angels around my bed, and so many souls I didn't even know. It was like a march of angels and souls constantly along my bed, thousands of them moving in that way. I remember when they decided I could breathe on my own and took those tubes out. The surgeon came around again, asked me my name, and looked astonished when I told him. He asked if I knew where I was, and I said yes, in the hospital. "You did the surgery on me." He looked at me with big eyes and told me, "You were gone for 10 minutes. We were expecting brain damage. You were gone. We didn't know how we managed to bring you back." I met a beautiful young man named Joe, and we fell in love. One thing I always remember is that before we got married, I was sitting in the car with him. The angels were telling me I should tell him, and I was very scared of telling Joe. I could see angels physically, but I did what I was told. I said to Joe, "By the way, I see angels physically." I always remember he looked at me and said, "Only priests and nuns have spiritual experiences," then gave me a peck on the cheek. As I got out of the car, I said to the angels and to God, "You know, you were wrong about this," but of course, he wasn't. Joe and I got married and lived in a little house in Maynooth, and we had 4 children. Joe's health started to decline. He eventually had heart surgery, a triple bypass, and suffered strokes and diabetes. I always remember getting into bed, seeing his guardian angel standing right there at the side, and being told he wasn't going to wake up. I was to just lie there beside him. I got on the phone, dialed the emergency number, and explained what was happening. Just before the ambulance arrived, I saw his guardian angel change position and lift Joe's soul from his body. The room lit up with light. But I always remember my son Niall running into the room, doing his best to revive his dad. I wanted to tell him, "Your dad's gone, you can't revive him," but I couldn't. It was really, really hard for my whole family, especially my children. After my husband Joe died, I always remember Archangel Michael coming up behind me. He said, "Lorna, I have a message for you. God has said it's time for you to write your first book." I remember saying to Archangel Michael that day, "I can't even read or write. How does God expect me to write even one book? I thought God got it all wrong. The angels got it all wrong, they've completely mixed it up." I remember trying to gather the courage in myself to tell someone that I was going to write, but I kept my inability to read and write a secret except from my family. I was scared of being ridiculed, and that's something I complained about to Archangel Michael and all the angels. "God, you know I was afraid of being ridiculed and laughed at, but I was told to have courage." One day there was a knock on the door. A man stood there, and I invited him in for a cup of tea and a hello. He said he was just dropping by for a few minutes, but I got a complete shock when I saw him carrying in a big box. He put it on the table and said, "That's for you," then left. To my shock, it was my first laptop ever, along with a printer and speakers. I turned to Archangel Michael and said, "But I can't use this," they said. "It's for writing your books." Angel Elijah came one day and said help was coming. Neighbors from down in the village, a husband and wife, came up. I told him I had this laptop, but I was dyslexic and couldn't read or write. He said, "Don't worry, I'll show you. You only have to press a few buttons." And that's how Angels in My Hair started. People say, "Oh, everything has changed for you in your life," but to me, I haven't changed. I'm still me. I don't have to worry now about having food on the table. What worries me is that I want to do everything that God and the angels have asked me, and they still haven't revealed everything to me. So I am in a state of shock sometimes, asking God, "Who do you think I am? Do you want me to say this, or do that?" Another thing that concerned me was what I should call God. There are so many names: God, Jesus, Allah, and hundreds of others in different languages. The Blessed One, the Holy One, the Father, the Son, so many names. One day I asked God, "What should I call you?" He looked at me and said, "Lorna, what do you call me?" I replied, "God, of course," he said. "God is universal. Use the word God." One thing that God has often said is, "Many are called, few are chosen, and very few of those few that are chosen say yes, but some of those chosen few have said yes." And that's how the sanctuary in Ireland has come about. It wouldn't have happened unless they had said yes. In the sanctuary now, we're growing food. We're feeding as many people as we can by filling boxes and giving them out to neighbors and people all around. We also give food to food shelters for the poor. I wish I could help more people in the world. I write books, give talks, and do workshops, but I can't do more unless more of those few who have been chosen say yes. I'm often asked about prayer, and one thing I would say about prayer is that it's very powerful. I often use the expression, "It can move mountains, it can change the world." If everyone would pray a little bit more, not just for yourself and your family, but for strangers and people you don't know, prayer could have a tremendous impact. Many people ask, "But how do I pray?" We're praying now because we're talking about God and the angels, about mankind, love, compassion, and our own soul. So we're actually in prayer. To me, prayer is simple. It doesn't have to be a million words, it can be one word, one thought, one action. If you want to stand on your head and pray, dance, swing, or swim, that's your prayer of life, putting the light and hope of prayer from your soul out into the world, connecting everything. We all need to give the world, this human world and every human being, hope. Hope gives us life, purpose, and dreams. It helps us take the next step down the road. If we all gave more hope and more love, we could change this world overnight. I know we could. I see so much good, so much love. There are a lot of negative and bad things, but love and goodness outweigh them by 1,000,000 times. I have never asked God, "What's my purpose of life?" I live it, because to live life is your purpose of life. If you don't live life and go on the journey, then you're missing life. Don't ask what's down the road, go on the journey. No matter how hard your life is, to live is a precious gift. You're alive, like I'm alive, and we're sitting here. We should be cherishing that gift, experiencing as much as we possibly can, and opening ourselves to the beauty of life.